Hello and welcome. It's Thursday evening, which means it's time for the Front Row Racing World Series Round 18 at Brazil. I'm Front Row Racing DP, otherwise known as Dave Lays in Beds, and I'll be doing commentary this evening as the drivers make their way around the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. And unfortunately, not joining me in the commentary box this week is Front Row Racing RI. Ray has had a bit of an operation this week, and so unfortunately he's resting himself, hopefully comfortably. So for tonight's race, I have a bit of a guest commentator joining me, and I'm pleased to introduce the new Front Row Racing World Series Season 6 champion, x-HiNDLE, into the commentary box. How are you this evening, x-HiNDLE?
Not too bad, not too bad. Looking forward to this, actually.
Well, usually you'd be at this point getting ready to go out onto the track, get yourself ready for a bit of a race. Usually not much of a challenge, but a bit of a race anyway. However, you're going to join me in the commentary box this evening. So what are you looking for from the drivers tonight?
Well, we all know what the permanent drivers can do. I'm going to be looking at what the reserve drivers have got. There's quite a few new ones who are getting the first drive today, so it'd be interesting to see what they can do.
Definitely. Now, a little bit of information about x-HiNDLE's season. Of the racers that he has won this season, the list is quite long. We've got China, Singapore, USA, Hungary, Italy, Monaco, Spain, Japan and Belgium. Brazil's not going to be one of them, though, because x-HiNDLE, having confirmed himself as the champion after last week's race, decided to give his seat up for this race, and possibly the last one as well, to a reserve driver. Now, in a few moments' time, we will send the drivers over to the racetrack. But reserving for x-HiNDLE this evening will be Drew. Now, you were saying to me a few moments ago, x-HiNDLE, that Drew impressed you a little bit in the FRI Days event around Brazil. Is that the reason why you chose him as your reserve for this week?
Well, there's a number of reasons. That was probably the main one. I've obviously seen him in a few events, and he's done okay, but obviously he's not been ridiculously quick. But that's not what we look for, is it? We look for people who are, clean, getting the points in. And last week he seemed to do really well. He was up there in first at one point, so I thought, you know what, we'll give him a shot, see what he's got.
They did, and now you've just commentators cursed him. We'll get ready to send the drivers over to the racetrack. x-HiNDLE, I tell you what, if you want to click ready for us, that will hopefully let the drivers know it's time to go. You can just flick the button a few times. While I just mention which reserve drivers we have got in this evening. F1 Roadrunner is in as a reserve driver for Acorn 95. RDB is in as a reserve driver for Ant 69 again. A Hard Danny is in as a reserve driver for Hybrid Nuke. Drew, he's in as a reserve driver for x-HiNDLE. Ferrari's their usual team, McLaren's their usual team, and let's see, Andy Russell, Richie Davey, they're in their usual team, and Millstar, he's in as a reserve driver for the Nightforth Mana Marussia team. Unfortunately, Front Row Racing NW is unavailable to race this evening. He was hoping to, but under doctor's orders, he's not going to be able to race. So, but we'll send the drivers over to the racetrack. Let's see, first raced here 1973. Number of laps for the drivers today will be 36 around the 4.3 kilometre circuit. Juan Montoya holds the lap record, the official lap record around here, with a 111.473. I think we beat that last night, and I think you may have actually beaten that last season, x-HiNDLE.
What was it last season? 11.4.
Let's have a look. Last season's qualifying lap time was a 110.4 by yourself, and the race time was a 111.422. So you did manage to just beat that lap time last season. Although last season's World Series race started dry and turned very wet. Although the weather for the drivers this evening, it looks like it is going to be dry. Yes, it says dry conditions throughout. Now, obviously, we've got a bit of a qualifying session going on here, but seeing as we've got HiNDLE in the commentary box, it'd be rude of me to not ask him a few questions about his season. So here you go then. Question of the day. That's has been a season-long thing. Are you ready for your question of the day, HiNDLE? And for the viewers as well, this is. So, are you ready for your question of the day?
That's on for me.
Okay. Pirelli, they create the tyres, they produce the tyres for Formula 1. Right, we all know that. Bridgestone, even Dunlop, and a few of the manufacturers have shown interest. But what I want to know is, which company worldwide sells the most tyres? And I don't just mean out of those three. Which company worldwide sells the most tyres? So that's the question of the day. So HiNDLE, I'll give you a moment to have a think about that one.
I don't really know many tyre companies, to be honest.
Well, I've mentioned three for you.
Yeah, but because you've said that, I'm gonna have a guess. It's not gonna be one of them. I want to go somewhere outside the box. Lego.
Oh, you know what? I was not actually expecting you to get that.
Right.
It's right, yes. Lego sells the most tyres worldwide. Yeah, well, you just got to spoil my question of the day. Thank you very much. You do realise I'm now going to have to think of another one that's going to be an absolute pain in the backside. But yeah, for anyone that was Hard Danny, he's in as a reserve driver, and he's just started his qualifying lap. So we'll just let the camera watch him for a moment. But HiNDLE, out of all of the races that you've done this season, is there any one of them that you would say in particular stands out as your favourite or your most satisfactory?
Satisfactory? Well, it would have been Russia, but post-race penalties kicked me from the top step. So with that being said, I've got to go with Monaco. Can't argue with that one. It was a dominant victory there. A difficult battle in the early stages, but overall a dominant victory. Obviously a lot of pole positions from yourself. Would you say that pole position has been a vital tool to be able to get to taking the title? Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's probably, what, 3, 4, maybe 5 drivers who can put it on pole, and this season obviously to be the one who can consistently put the lap times in. I mean, I know some people have been really quick around the track, and on the day they just can't get a lap time in, where I seem to, even not on my A game, I can still put a pole position time in, which was very satisfying. But I know midway through the season I changed my setups to race pace, and I seem to fall off a bit on the pole positions. But when the tracks came around where it was quite important to get on pole, I managed to get that form back. Yeah. Now you might need to turn your microphone up a little bit now that we've got the cars going around the track. You're a little bit quieter than when we were just having a chat in the commentary box before we came live. I'm now watching Adam 4600, who is on the prime tyre. I mean, I must admit, the season you've had in the World Series has been a fantastic one. And the last question that I would ask yourself at this point about your season would be, if the opportunity arises to take a place in the World Championship with the no assists for next season, is it a challenge you would take? Definitely. I've been speaking to a few drivers about it actually, and they've been, advising me to take that seat because they don't come around that often. And if I find myself in a situation where I think, oh, actually I do want a World Championship seat and there isn't one available, and I'm kind of stuck in the mud there. But yeah, I have been practicing a lot with no assist. Well, the past 2 races, Brazil, I practiced a lot with no assist, even though I weren't racing, just to see what it was like. And I was still doing low 110s in quali with no assist, so that was promising signs, but yeah, definitely thinking about it. It can go on.
Yeah, one of the bit sort of kind of big advantages of Brazil here is that there isn't really any huge braking zones around this track. Yeah. You've got turn 1, it is a heavy braking zone, but it's not like going down the long straight at China. You then got turn 4, again it's not a really heavy braking zone, so like with the braking it'll be a little bit more beneficial. You're not going to be probably locking it up as much as you might, but it'll be interesting to see what does happen in the future. Okay, we'll try and focus a little bit more on what is happening on the track for the time being. I've just seen a little bit of debris in the road as F1 Roadrunner makes his way around the Bico de Pato.
I think we've got a bit of lag in the lobby. We've got Adam 46 on pole of 109 and then sector 3 of a 14.3.
Yeah, I was on board with Adam 4600 a few moments ago, and his car was jumping about a bit. I do know he does sometimes have a slightly poor connection, but F1 Roadrunner's about to cross the line and go 6th on a set of prime tyres. Let's see, his sectors are 17.6, a 37.0 and a 17.6. Just to put it into perspective for the viewers, sectors around here, see Richie Davies on the fly now. Good sectors around here. Sector 1, 16.9. Anything around that, you're looking good. Sector 2, a 35.5. You're looking good for a good lap time of that sector. Sector 3, if you can hit 17.0s, you're on for a very, very good lap time. Those combined, you could get into the 9s, potentially sort of 9.6s, 9.7s. But for the drivers here today, HiNDLE, I mean, as I'm sure you know, the setup could be absolutely crucial, but also very different from one driver to another.
Yeah, I've spoke to a few of the drivers, even not my reserve driver, but my teammate's reserve drive, and I was asking him, you know, do you need any advice with setup? What setup have you got? And he told me his setup, and it was completely opposite to what I was using. But it's just, and then I found out it was on the wheel. And I do know the difference in setups can be quite substantial between the pad and the wheel. But setup around here, people could go for quali because of the style of the track. It's quite narrow. People think it's hard to overtake here, but in reality, there are quite a few overtaking spots around here.
There definitely is. Again, turn 1, even 2 and 3 you can overtake. In 2 and around 4. 5 and 6 is a little trickier, but if you've got higher aeros than the car ahead, it can be done. The rest of sector 2, you can overtake through there, but you do kind of slow each other down, and then you've got the whole of the final sector. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities to overtake around here, but we'll see how the drivers get on here. See, Kay Slay, he's done a 17.2 sector 1. I'm going to get on to a few drivers' comments. So I was catching up with a few of the drivers earlier today, and I've handed HiNDLE a few of, well, I've handed him all of the notes for the reserve drivers. So in a moment, HiNDLE, I'm going to drop one on you. But for Kay Slay, he said he hasn't done as much practice as I would have liked this week, so not really sure where I am in pace or in reference to others. Just aiming to get as high up as possible, and with a good result to confirm second place in the Constructors. Well, he's just about to finish a flying lap here. He's currently saying 10th place, so let's see what this lap time is going to be. It's a 10.7, that's third place. Okay, quick look at the old timing screen. Adam 4600, that's, yeah, I see what you mean about his sector 3 there.
43 is 2. Now, 3 seconds quick.
Yeah, one thing I have seen from Adam 4600, there was a race earlier in the season where he did have a lot of lag at the start of a race, and he realised that something wasn't right, so he did actively drop himself down the back of the grid, or further down the grid than where it got up to, because I think he went from about 8th up to 1st before the first corner, realised that, hang on a minute, I'm not this quick, and dropped himself back. Let's see, HiNDLE's reserve driver here, Drew, 871105, he's had his lap invalidated, but we'll see if he's going to go on for another one. With Drew's pre-race comments today, he said he's hoping to play it safe and not do anything foolish, so he's now come to, well, he's cursed himself as well as your curse on him. He will concentrate on getting a clean start, getting the most points, and not push excessively since it's my first race. Hopefully I keep up with the boys at the front. Like Hindle said, he did have a very good performance in the FRI Days Cup. He was up there fighting for the victory, but he has had this lap invalidated as well. Okay, there's one driver that I did want to go and jump on board with, but I've got a feeling he's not going to go out on track. Oh, he is actually. He's on an out lap, and he's just about to start a flying lap, and that's Charlie on the prime tyres. So, Hindle, why don't you let the viewers know what Charlie's pre-race comments were?
Well, he wasn't very happy. He's been a bit confused of what track we've been at. He's put all his practice and all his efforts into Mexico. So he's not happy at all.
Yes, and he wasn't happy with my response to him when he told me that as well, because I couldn't help but laugh. So yeah, Charlie unfortunately he's been practicing Mexico. Hopefully the setup that he was going to use there will be good around here. Now I'll tell you what, on the prime tyres though, he's done a 17.5 sector 1, which actually isn't too bad in comparison to an option tyre time. I mean, what, half a second off a really good option tyre time, but if we look at the standings, he's only 2/10 off Rickster.
Yeah, 2-3 off.
Yeah. So let's see what his second sector time. Second sector's where it's hurt him, a 37.0. So he's lost, say, about a second. Yeah, easily a second in that sector. And is he going for the line? He is not. He's going for the pits.
No.
Okay. I've got a feeling that he may have just been doing that to get ahead of us.
Yeah. Well, he has set a lap time.
Okay. Well, he will be ahead of us then. Let's see who's next. F1 Roadrunner. He's on a flying lap at the moment, only a couple of corners to go. So why don't you let us know what F1 Roadrunner had to say before the event?
Well, he's looking forward to his first drive, if I'm correctly. He's looking forward to it. He's looking for a clean start, a top 5 finish, and he'd be very, very happy if he could sneak into the podium.
Well, I do know that F1 Roadrunner is a fairly quick driver, but I also know that in the FRI Days events, he's been hit a lot at the first corner, so it's made his events quite difficult. But he is quick, and he's got some speed in him. He's currently sat in at 7th place. Sector 1 time's not good though, so I think this may be an in lap. Let's have a look. RDB, he's on a flying lap at the moment. I'll tell you what, Hindle, if you want to have a look out, see if anybody else is going for a quick one. Let's see, 17.3 and a 36.0 for RDB. That's not too bad, really. He's currently in 5th. I don't know if he's going to be able to improve or if he's going for the pit lane. No, he's going for the line. And RDB, when I caught up with him earlier on today, as he stays 5th place, said he just wants to thank Ant for giving him the chance in these races. He feels I've learnt, or I should say, I feel I've learnt a lot in the World Series, and I hope I can do enough to earn myself a permanent seat in the World Series next season. Good luck to all teams and drivers. Okay, F1 Roadrunner.
He jumped up to 3rd place.
Has he jumped up to 3rd?
Yeah,
okay.
He was a bit delayed that. He has jumped up to 3rd place. 1:10.6, which isn't too bad.
No, it's jumped him ahead of Casely and Drew. From a Racing GP, he has put a lap time in. Wouldn't surprise me if that was on the intermediate tyres. A hard Danny, he's out on track at the moment on a flying lap on the prime tyres. Actually, no. Let's have a look. What did Danny have to say when I harassed him earlier on? Okay, he said he thinks he might struggle here racing with the big boys. My pace is not where I want it to be, and I'll be lucky to get a 1.10 in quali, but what's the point in racing if it's not a challenge? Big thank you to both DP and Hybrid Nuke for the opportunity, and I'll try not to embarrass myself too much. So he's keeping it quite simple, really. He is, by the sounds of things.
Well, I do know. I was in a practice session with him. Me and Nuke was giving him some advice and tips. I did get into the 110s in the options, so that could cut that target time. Could reach for him here.
Well, hopefully he can reach it. Dave the Harp, he's about to cross the line. He's done a 1:11.2. That puts him up to 8th place. and let's see. Dave the Harp, simply put, not had a lot of practice, not sure on setup, God help me. Sorry Dave, I don't believe in God, so I can't get him to help you. But if you want to pull over and have a pray, this is probably the circuit to do it at, seeing as there is a rather large Jesus, or is it? No, there is a large God, sorry, in Rio. You can always go and visit him between qualifying and the race. I think he's on another flying lap here, 17.3 sector 1. That's up on what he did on his previous lap.
He's a tenth down on the fastest sector 1, so not too bad here.
Sector 2, let's see what that time, under the 36ers please. No, it's a 36.7. That's a slow middle sector. I'd probably think that that's looking like an in-lap, really. No, he's continuing on. Maybe he's just had a bit of a cruiser lap and going for...
he's running very low arrows.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, saying that, 17.5, sector 3, if he's running low arrows, it'd be quicker than that.
Yep, from a Racing GP. He's out on track now. He has set a sector 1 time, but his lap time has been invalidated. And as I'm sure you know, HiNDLE, from a Racing GP, he likes to send in some cryptic pre-race comments. So I'll hand his over to you this week.
I knew that was coming. Right, GP. I continuously go further and further, learning about my own limitations, my body limitation, psychological limitations. It's a way of life, and suddenly I realised that I was no longer driving the car consciously. I was driving it by a kind of instinct. Only I was in a different dimension. I think if you mix up self-confidence with an ego that doesn't allow your feet to keep on the ground, then you have a negative effect. If you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. When you are fitted in a racing car and you race to win, being second is to be the first of the one who lose.
Yep. Now, if that didn't give everybody else goose pimples, I hope you just simply don't realise where that comes from, because they are the words of the great Ayrton Senna, which from a Racing GP has stolen there and brilliantly given out there by HiNDLE. As from a Racing GP continues his flying lap. Yeah, the words of the great man at the circuit, which he did have a little bit of input in some remodelling of, as we're now booted up to the commentary box and the TV cameras. And obviously turn 1, 2 and 3 are known as the Senna S's. Now, from a Racing GP, he's currently sat in 9th place, and he will be wanting to try and improve that position. Oh, he's off. He's off. That's his session over. Let's see, Millstart, he's coming up to the line. He's currently in 12th place. Now, he is a reserve driver who is very quick, and he has said, oh, he's excited that he's got another reserve drive. I know I'm better than when I last raced at Australia. As long as I can avoid anything at turn 1 and hopefully can push for a podium maybe. If luck is on my side, you never know. We'll have to see where he got. He's still only 11th place. Now, it does say that Adam 4600 is on pole on primes on a 109.9, but I think that is a little bit wrong there. Rickster in 2nd place, RDB 3rd, Caseley 4th, Drew 5th, Richie Davies 6th, F1 Roadrunner 7th, Dave the Harp in 8th, from a Racing GP in 9th, Charlie in 10th, Millstar 11th, Hardani in 12th, and Andy Russell, he's at the back of the grid. He's behind me and you, HiNDLE.
F1 Roadrunner has a 5-place grid penalty.
Oh, he does. Now, usually a 5-place grid penalty would come about from crossing the pit lane line on the exit. So it is possible that he's gone and shot himself in the foot a little bit there. Now,
so with that then, he'll be starting. I don't think he puts it on the leaderboard.
He could well be starting dead last, as you mentioned. We should just have to wait. I mean, I must admit, I am wondering what to do about Adam 4600. I'm hoping that he will spot that what he's done is, or the position he's in is not quite right, and may move over. It would be the right thing to do. Now, at the moment, we haven't got anyone keeping an eye on YouTube, but I am going to try and get on there. There have been quite a few messages popping up, so I will get on when I can. But HiNDLE, predictions for this one?
I think Richter could take this. I mean, this is the best opportunity he's had to take a win this season, and he needs to take it with both hands. And by saying that, I've probably just jinxed him.
Yeah, and I wasn't really listening then, so I'll just say yeah. My prediction is absolutely anything could happen here. We could have a clean start to the race. We could have a not so clean start to the race. I tell you what though, Andy Russell is starting a long way down the grid, but the lights are about to go out and the drivers are on their way, so we'll just have to wait for Andy Russell to get past us, and then we can get on board with the action. Now they'll already be just about around turn 1 by the time we get there. We've got contact. Dave the Harp, Charlie, they're spinning. Andy Russell's spinning. F1 Roadrunner's been collected in that. So is Front Row Racing GP. Let's have a look up at the front. Adam 4600. Oh yeah, 2 Red Bulls crashing into each other. I'm not sure if that might have been Adam trying to get himself out of the way there. Well, let's try and find out who is leading this race. It could be Richter. It is Richter. And then we've got your reserve driver, Drew, in second place with a Ferrari of K-Slay right behind him. And then Millstar, Richie Davey, Dave the Harp.
It's not gone well for Adam. He's got 2 pushers, front left, front right, no front wing. That's a long way to the pits.
It is. We've also got a Sauber and a Mana Marusha. That'll be Millstar getting very close to each other. So that'll be Richie Davey. But for Adam and his teammate, both having to go for the pit lane, they're possibly going to end up double stacked. But now that the race has got going, HiNDLE, strategy. We didn't talk about strategy during qualifying, but if you were racing, what strategy would you be going for here?
I'd go for the 3-stop. I know a few people in the World Challenge did a 4-stop yesterday, but it all depends on how you treat your tyres in this first stint.
You're right there. Now, I did just see a Mercedes going very deep. F1 Roadrunner, he's out of the session. That's unfortunate for him. I'm not sure if it was him that I saw going deep at turn 1, but it did look like someone was going very fast off the exit. And I've no idea who you're on about doing a 4-stop strategy yesterday. I mean, that's just absolutely mental, surely. Caught you by surprise anyway, didn't it? Okay, Richter, he's still leading this race, and I tell you what, I think he might be pleased that Drew is in second place at the moment. He won't know much about him, but he'll be hoping that he becomes a cork in the bottle for all of the cars behind him. For K-Slay and Richie Davey, though, they're going to want to get ahead as fast as they can.
Well, Drew seems to have held on his position. He was P2 at the end of the last lap, and he's 2 coming to the end of this lap. So he's showing a bit of pace.
He definitely is. Now, DRS not active yet. It will be on this next lap. One of the Red Bulls has only just got to the pit lane. You're right, Drew has gone deep.
2 and 3.
Now, DRS, this could get interesting because DRS is now going to be available. We could end up 3 wide.
Yeah.
It's not a corner you want to go 3 wide. K-Slay trying to make the move. Oh, Drew squeezes a little bit. And here comes Richie Davey trying to fit in a gap that's not really big enough. But now he's got...
3 wide around this corner.
And this is an interesting situation. I mean, obviously I have my views of what I'd do if I was in Richie Davies' position. What would you be doing if you was in Richie Davies' position?
I'd wait till the back straight. But saying that, can he wait? Because he's got Millstar right behind him.
Exactly.
Oh, Drew took an interesting line into that corner.
Now,
maybe a bit of an evasive, and now K-Slay's got past him.
Yep.
Richie Davey needs to follow at the end of this part.
Drew just give K-Slay a little bit of a nudge there, but now Drew, Richie Davey and Millstar are all going to have DRS on K-Slay, so we could end up 4 wide into turn 1. Drew going slightly off track, that's into the wall, that's into Richie Davey, and that's into Millstar. That's race
Wheels
over,
gone.
front wheels gone. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I told you cursed him. That's
Millstar with no front wing.
It is. I tell you what, Drew will be absolutely devastated with that one. It's not a result that he would have wanted there. But I mean, having said that, I mean, K-Slay, he's now down into third place. Richie Davies got ahead of him. Millstar's got no front wing, but here comes From a Racing GP and Dave the Harp, so that's now fourth and fifth. And From a Racing GP, he started the race on a set of prime tyres. So when we saw him going around on the options and he didn't get his lap time in, do you think that actually hurt him, considering that he's now on the prime tyre in fourth place?
Well, it's more than anything, it's benefited him, because we're seeing, well, I've had a first-hand experience of what he can do when he's on the primes, on clear track. He can be a thorn in the side. He's on option tyres, and everybody else needs to run the primes. He's going to be in a very, very good position, and especially around this track.
Yeah, he will be in a very strong position when that situation arises. Let's see, second and third place here. Is K-Slay close enough for DRS? Yes, he is. I don't think he's close enough to go for an overtake. I think Millstar may have just got himself into the pits, unless that was From a Racing GP going for an early stop. I thought I saw a red car into the pit lane.
Into the pits, and his option tyres. That's a very, very early stop. 4 laps on the prime tyres. I mean, we do know GP does some strange strategies, but 4 laps, unless he pulls something that I don't about these option tyres.
Well, we have seen him in the past go very long on option tyres when other drivers have struggled. I mean, I would say it probably is a lap or two too soon to make the 4-stop style strategy work that I used yesterday, but we've seen him run intermediates on a dry track in qualifying before, so we never really do know what he's going to be doing. I've got a feeling, you know, that Richie Davey and K-Slay may just be, I was about to say, catching up the leader a little bit, but they've just dropped a 10th off him. So Dave the Harp, he's now 4th. Andy Russell's 5th. From a Racing GP has come out of the pits and he's got Adam 46 behind him, who's in 11th place and is lagging about a lot.
Richie Davies into the pits.
So Richie Davey going for an early stop then. Would you think it's going to be for the option tyres, or do you reckon he's going to be bolting on a set of primes? Mercedes coming out as well.
If I was in these positions, I'd go on the options for an undercut, but it's the primes.
It is the primes. Let's see what Dave the Harp's gone for. It's a set of prime tyres for him as well. Now, From a Racing GP, who pitted a lap earlier, he's now coming down the start-finish line. He'll be wanting to get ahead of this flying Red Bull as soon as he can. Now, is he going to get ahead of Dave the Harp? And is he going to be ahead of Richie Davey? No.
Richie Davey's gone.
Yep, Adam 4600 in the background. He's letting Charlie through, but I tell you what, GP has opened up a massive gap on Dave the Harp, who has now got a hard Danny, who is in 8th place, not that far behind him. I'm not sure if a hard Danny had damage in the early stages, but he is on a set of option tyres. Let's see if we can have a look at them. I'd say they don't look too worn, so I'd guess he's pitted recently. So he may have closed the gap up a bit to Dave the Harp and is actually right on the back of him.
I don't think he has pitted. If he pitted, he'd be further back than he is to the leader. 27.6. Oh, 27.6. Rickster at the moment, he's just gained 3 seconds.
Rickster is in the pits. Yeah, Rickster's in the pits for a set of prime tyres. That puts K-Slay into the lead. And Andy Russell, he's just taken 2nd place, but has not pitted yet. So let's see who's next. Richie Davey. Has Richie Davey got any kind of an undercut on Rickster? Rickster's in the pit lane. Richie Davey round turn 3. It could be close on the exit. Rickster's not quite up to speed yet. And here comes Richie Davey up the inside.
Can he keep it on the exit?
I think he will. It's a beautiful move there. Oh, but Rickster's trying to fight back straight away. Can't quite do it though. I mean, that there shows just how much of an undercut you can gain by pitting a lap earlier around this track. He was 2 seconds behind. He's now a 10th ahead.
That's on the prime tyres as well.
Yep. I mean, this is one of the things with the strategy that I used yesterday. I know it did baffle a lot of people, and it was simply that the option tyres in at the start of the race, they do take a bit of a beating, and I was destroying them a bit given the track temperature. But the prime tyres are faster than a set of worn options, so you go from options to primes, and you can go faster than a guy that's still on track on the option tyre. K-Slay, he's into the pits. Set of prime tyres for him.
He'd have lost out massively to Richie Davey.
He may even lose out to his teammate, who's just heading up to the first corner. Richie Davey and Rickster, they're already around turn 3.
Very close, very close. GP is ahead.
Yep, so GP's undercut. He's been on those tyres 4 laps longer. Moves him, well, I would say moves him up to 4th place, but he was in 4th place anyway. But it moves Casely out of position. But Casely now with the fresher tyres. Rickster all over the back of Richie Davey. Will have moved from a racing GP up a position because Andy Russell is leading this race. He hasn't stopped yet and he's just ahead of his teammate. And you would like to think that at this moment, HiNDLE, that Richie Davey is saying to Andy, keep going, let me get DRS off you, then pit.
I think Andy's got to be in the pits this lap. His tyres look absolutely dreadful.
Yep, I don't think Richie Davey is going to be getting DRS here because he was ahead of his teammate. But Rickster, he's going to have DRS, and you're right. I think Andy has got to go for the pit lane, and he does. So it's into the pits for him. Rickster trying then awful visual lag there, and a really bad camera angle for the overtake. A little bit side by side. No, Richie Davey holds position. I mean, we've mentioned that turn 1 can be an overtaking place, but given that there's a DRS straight after turn 3, would you overtake into turn 1, or would you just try and get the other car out of position and attack into turn 4?
I'd go with what I've got on my setup. If I had higher rolls, I'd do it into turn 4 and try and break that gap in the middle sector. And if I had higher rolls, I'd go into turn 1 and try and pull that.
Yeah. Interesting you say that because, I mean, that's something I was thinking about yesterday with the slightly higher aeros. I did make a move into turn 1 and I was just able to keep it into turn 4, but I had to defend it aggressively. Whereas it would have been, if you got the higher aeros, it would be better to overtake into turn 4 and then you use that second sector to try and break DRS. But I tell you what, these two up at the front battling on the prime tyres is allowing Front Row Racing GP to sort of slowly close that gap up, but he is running option tyres. He's already used his primes. F1 Roadrunner has joined us and left again. Unfortunately the race has ended for F1 Roadrunner, but Rickster's in a good position here. If he's got a good exit, which it looks like he has, and Richie Davey going defensive. I don't think you actually ever experienced the Richie Davey defensive line, HiNDLE, but no, but I'm sure you'll have seen it on the broadcast a few times. But Rickster with a beautiful move into turn 4.
Oh, Adam 4600 is everywhere.
Yeah, that'll be his connection. And obviously, connection is something that's been discussed a lot this season. It's a frustrating one because I mean, someone like Adam 4600, he doesn't have connection problems on project cars, but come to F1 and there is sometimes connection issues, and Ethernet cables have helped a lot of people when it comes to connectivity. But one of the main reasons that connectivity is important is because it can cause crashes. And that is when it's at its most frustrating. I mean, we had Stocky on Kev 187 last year writing his car off. We had one earlier writing off from a racing GP. I mean, I remember, I think it was in Australia, wasn't it, HiNDLE, where you were following Adam 4600. Oh, it was Rickster's car there, just lags back a little bit. But yeah, in Australia, you had Adam 4600 ahead of you, and he was lagging about so much that you didn't know where to put your car.
No, and I was just praying I didn't get hit, and hit I did.
Yes. Now, I do know that at Brazil last season, there were some odd visual effects at Brazil last season. I do sometimes think that quite often you can have tracks that are worse than others, but also obviously connectivity can be a major factor as well. Well, Rickster, he's gone from running first place, he's now down to third place. He's on prime tyres, he's been passed by GP on options, so I don't know whether Rickster's got himself a little bit of damage or whether he's just struggling a bit on those primes. But while you were practicing HiNDLE and you were obviously, you would have done option runs, you would have done prime runs as well. How did you find the wear was on the prime tyre?
They weren't actually too bad. Normally you could get an extra lap of primes. On this track you seem to get 3 or 4. I know you can do a good 12 laps on the primes, so if you needed to pit early, they could bring your strategy back into play, as we have a Marussia in the pits.
Okay, Rickster's having a look up the inside of Front Row Racing GP. DRS in use there as well. Almost side by side, heading up to turn 4. Now heading up to turn 6, and Rickster, he's found his mojo again. The Marussia into the pits. That would have been Millstar, who after losing his front wing earlier on is on a bit of a recovery drive. Now, for any of the drivers that pit to sort of lap 6 or 7 and are on the prime tyre, they will be looking to try and go to about sort of lap 18. But I'm sure you'll know, Hindle, that if they're pitting on lap 18, they'd be better off pitting on lap 20. Oh, Rickster, oh, that's big lag from Rickster. And actually thinking about it, Rickster, over the last few races, has had connection issues. He has been disconnected from a couple of races. And I think from a Racing GP, he's going for the pits. So he's only done 6-7 laps on those option tyres. I'm not sure what strategy he's going for here, unless he's going for a set of prime tyres.
No, options again.
Options. I'm wondering if he's calculated his stint lengths correctly here.
I think he's going for a 4-stop.
Well, he could be going.
That's what he set out to do from the beginning.
He could be on a 4-stop, but I still think he's pitted. Well, pitting now, he would probably pit again on lap 20 and then on 28. So, yes, it would be a 4-stop, I suppose. Yeah, he could still do it, and have to see if it'll work out for him. But yeah, I was going to say, if the drivers are say Rickster or Richie Davey, if they're going to end up going to say lap 17, 18 on this set of prime tyres, having done 10, 11 laps, then surely they'd be better off trying to get to that lap 20, because otherwise they're going to have to run a set of prime tyres again.
Well, I've worked out a strategy. Lap 20 is the perfect lap to pit from the primes, because then you can do 8-8 quite comfortably. But if you need to pit lap 19 or 18, you'd have to try and stretch one set of options quite long, and you could end up getting punctures or lose a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, the time loss, I mean, 8 laps on the set of options as Front Racing GP has made a move past Andy Russell, but is now defending into turn 1. 8 laps on the options, a brand new set, is absolutely no problem. The 9th lap, you lose a ton of time. The 10th lap, you're losing anywhere up to 2.5-3 seconds. So, yeah, trying to extend an option stint is not really overly beneficial. There's something I haven't spoken about, and I was actually going to get your thoughts about this one, because I mean, obviously you are a pad user and I'm a wheel user, so there might be some differences here. Temperatures of the circuit. What did you find worked for tyre pressures? Reference the temperatures of the track around here.
Well, it's for the pad, I don't know if it's the same for the wheel, but the lower your tyre pressures are, the better they should be in the warmer conditions, or better for tyre wear anyway. But I don't normally mess around with tyre pressures, I just keep it on the stand 18, and it seems to do the job for me.
Well, would you like to know what I found out? From a Racing GP.
It's going to be something quite odd.
Yeah. Some of the tracks are quite different, right? And this was one of them, where if you ran, say, 18.0 tyre pressures on a track where the track temperature is about 45 degrees, it was okay. The car handled quite nice. If you lowered that tyre pressure to try and improve tyre life or grip, it had the opposite effect. The tyres slid around too much, creating more heat, more temperature, more wear. But if you upped the tyre pressure to 18.4, you had better tyre wear, better grip, which I found very, very interesting. But then it got a little bit weirder. If the track temperature dropped below 43 degrees as Richie Davey goes for the pits, he's in early, he's got to go for another set of prime tyres.
Yeah.
As Rickster takes the lead. And we'll see what tyres Richie does go for. Yeah, if the temperatures drop below 43 degrees, had to up the tyre pressures again. Otherwise, there was a feeling of a loss of grip in the car. So 18.6s, 18.8s, and this is going to be possibly close between Richie Davey and Front Row Racing GP, who's around turn 2 and 3. No, GP's ahead. That'll frustrate Richie Davey because he's now on the slower tyre, and although GP will have been looking to do the extra stop. So yeah, as the temperatures dropped, higher tyre pressures were much more beneficial. So for example, yesterday's qualifying session, I spotted that the track temperature at the start of the session was 44 degrees. Right, let's go out then. The hotter the track round here, the better the grip. So I went out for an early run, didn't run again because all that was going to happen was people were going to go slower, and that's what happened. In the race, I was still running a high tyre pressure, and at the start of the race the track was quite warm, so it struggled a little bit. But as the race went on and the temperatures came down, the tyres were really, really good. So yeah, was a little bit odd. Higher tyre pressures were more beneficial for myself around here.
Casely has continued on, so I think he picked at the end of lap 7, so he should be going for at least another 1-2 laps. And
yeah.
He could run option to the end.
Well, I mean, if you're in Casely's situation now, I mean, would you pit this lap, next lap, or would you try and squeeze it out to that lap 20?
I think if you've got a strategy in mind and it's going to plan, don't change it. If he has got that strategy of going to lap 19 or 20, go for it, because if he pits now, he's going to struggle on his options.
Yeah. Let's see for a race. Let's see if Rickster or Casely are going to pit. I mean, Rickster's seen Richie Davey pit, so the temptation will be there for him to pit. And if he does, I think it'll be for the prime tyre. He is. He's in the pits. Casely continues on. So let's have a look. I tell you what, HiNDLE, you keep an eye on what tyres Rickster goes for. I'll keep an eye on where Richie Davey is, because obviously these two were very, very close, and Richie's just crossing the start finish.
Yeah, Richie's got a big undercut,
which means that Front Row Racing GP has also got a big undercut. But if Rickster's on the option tyres, I mean, what are your thoughts about that one?
He's either going to stretch these out as long as possible and do it again on the options, or he's got to stretch these out as long, no matter what, he's got to stretch them as long as possible, because he's got to do either another long stint on the options or the primes. Well,
I think one thing that we would both agree on is probably sat there right now thinking, how the bloody hell have I ended up in 4th place, what will be 3rd place, this far behind the 2 cars ahead of me? Because he's only gone the 1 extra lap, and the amount of time he's lost is absolutely huge.
He's only 1.5 seconds behind Richie, and he's now... Well, he won't update yet, but he's not going through sector 2, has he?
No, not yet. I mean,
Richie 11 seconds. 5 seconds, lost 3 seconds, 4 seconds. I'm Richie's 2 times.
That's a lot to lose. Now, for a Racing GP, on his option tyres, they're beginning to wear now, and Richie's prime tyres, they'll be getting up to temperature quite nicely, which is allowing Richie to catch up to GP, but GP's going to probably want to go this lap and the next lap, then get rid of that set of option tyres. I mean, this could switch about a few more times yet. Casely,
I think the person in the prime position here is Casely. It's got to be. He's got the gap on GP, and he's doing a pit stop less.
Well,
technically now they've got the same. But yeah, Casely's in.
Richie Davey's going slow. I think he's just had a bit of a moment somewhere as the lagging Rickster comes up to him. Contact. They're both spinning. No damage, hopefully. No, it doesn't look like any damage, but that's just given both Ferrari drivers an absolute bonus there.
This could be the first Ferrari 1-2 of the season.
It could be. Is K-Slay going for the pits? He is. K-Slay into the pits. So that collision then happens at exactly the right time for him, because chances of him being undercut by them is limited. From a Racing GP is now going to take the lead, and the gap between first and second was about 9 seconds. So K-Slay is going to have an undercut, and as you said, do one stop less.
Oh, 5 seconds, Richie,
behind them, I think, even though they've had their crash. Yeah, he's behind them.
That just shows how big the undercut really is.
Yeah, they've been able to have a crash, do a couple of donuts, and still be ahead. And I think when K-Slay watches this back, he will be wondering how the hell they are still ahead of him. I mean, are you surprised at how big the undercut is around here?
Yeah, I still the prime tyres. I thought they'd go.
I think Richie's just had an off. He has. His front wing's gone. His front wing's gone. That could be his fight for the win of this race over.
Race over.
Oh dear, oh dear. Bad race for Richie Dave then. Yeah, it is race over. Oh dear, I'm not sure if that was Rickster's car lagging around in front of him or something, but it was Rickster that was closest to him, I think.
GP in the pits.
So GP's going to be giving up the lead now to Rickster, who has got K-Slay not far behind him, and K-Slay is on the option tyres, but Rickster is also on the option tyres, but Rickster's option tyres are 2 laps older? 3 laps older? Yeah, 2 laps older, yeah.
I think it's 3 laps. So yeah, K-Slay is definitely this is his race to lose now. It's going to be the fresh tyres he's got to be his race to lose. And Rickster pitted very early.
He did. It's close, 3rd and 4th from a Racing GP coming out of the pits. Dave the Harp right behind him. Dave's kind of snuck up out of nowhere on this one, but I'm not sure when he last made a stop. Or looking at his tyres, it was some time ago. The Ferrari team will be hoping that that Mercedes just gets smaller and smaller in the mirrors. See Charlie's up to 5th, and he's got Milstar behind him.
Battle, 5th and 6th.
Now, it doesn't look like Charlie's got a little bit of lag going on as well, but I do know his connection can be a little bit iffy at times. I think USA, his car was jumping around all over the place. I don't think you would have seen much of that fighting out up at the front. But yeah, his car has been jumping about a bit. And when it comes to connectivity, actually, I mean, there's always discussions going on with the admins about how they can try and improve certain things. And okay, we don't always announce to everybody exactly what we discuss or talk about, and that's because rather than put something out there and people go, oh, you don't want to do that, we discuss a lot of things, come up with a few ideas, and then go, right, okay, this is what we got. And connectivity is one that is high on the agenda, and it's a tricky one really, because I mean, someone like Charlie's been racing the league for some time, and you'd kind of feel cruel going, you know what, you've got bad connection, you can't race anymore. So you kind of have to find a way to do it that where people go, oh, you got to do that because you don't like me. And there was one way that I thought of it. And I'll tell you what, HiNDLE, I'll put it out there to you. Obviously, our drivers have to record their races. It's part of their entry into the league. It's what you have to do. Now, they can do it by live streaming, or they can do it by double tap sharing. But we've obviously got people that are struggling a little bit with connectivity. So one idea I had was, you say, right, okay, if your internet is not strong enough to record a live stream on a certain quality of level, then your connection is not good enough. And some people might go, oh, that's a bit harsh. And so, hold on a moment. Some of the people who are having connectivity issues are people that aren't live streaming. So it would be a way of saying, right, if your internet's not good enough, it'll corrupt your footage. You'll just get a PlayStation logo. But if your internet is strong enough to do it, then it will do it. So what do you think of that one?
I mean, I've had issues with connectivity in the past. Upgrading the internet seems to be fine. It's just one of those things that the drivers obviously deserve a seat. They've got a seat, and if connectivity is preventing them from keeping their seat. It's a sour way to leave, but you've got to think of it from the other driver's perspective. I mean, well, I'll give you for an example. I was making my way back through the field in Australia, and
just going to cut you off a second. Sorry, K-Slay having a sneaky look for the lead into turn 1. Can't quite get it done. Maybe able to have another look into turn 4. We will come back to what you were just saying there. I didn't want to cut you off, but K-Slay looking up the inside now. He made that move quite nicely. Got the inside line. Can he get it slowed down and take the lead? It looks like he may be able to. Side by side. Yes, he's ahead. Is he? Possibly. Rickster's got the inside line. Yeah, so K-Slay takes the lead of this race on lap 24. So go back to what you were saying there.
It's not nice. Obviously, when you've had a bit of an incident, you're trying to work your way back up, and lag kind of puts a stop to that. It's frustrating, but for me, that's just the way it is. I don't think people deserve to lose their seat because of their connectivity, but I do think there are, certain ways, like you just said, to prevent that.
Yeah, I mean it's a tricky situation. I mean, I've had people quite often. I mean, there's times where people say, "Oh, well, we've been together for ages," and then at the same time, the same people are going, "Well, hang on, this guy's really quick. He should be racing in there." So you can never please everybody, but connectivity, it is obviously. It's a big topic at times because all of us drivers at some point have had that experience of having a car ahead of us that is lagging around, and it's awful because you have absolutely no idea.
Millstar's got a puncture.
Yeah, I just spotted that one. He's going slow, and here comes Andy Russell and RDB, who are having their own little battle. And RDB actually put in fastest lap, last lap around. Is he going to go for a move up into turn 1? He's going to try it. Up the inside, got to get it slowed down and not run wide. It's a nice move. Job done into turn 1. Can he keep it? Turn 4. Oh, I think with Andy's big wiggle there, I think he may have done.
Yeah, he can. Andy's tyres look dreadful.
I mean, when you're driving around, do you actually consciously look at your tyre wear on the tyre, or do you just go on the damage meter?
Kind of both, but it's only in the slow corners you see the wear. Like, if we're looking at Andy now, while I'm looking at him, they don't look worn, but when he slows down, they look absolutely terrible. Yep. And that's where I look. When you see patches like that far, you think, right, these are coming to the end, you've got to think about a pit stop, either this lap or the next one.
Yep, and looking at the amount of time he's dropping off the back of RDB there, he will need to be making a pit stop soon. Millstar, he's gone to the prime tyre, so he may be able to get those to the end of the race. I'm wondering whether...
Rick's just pitted.
Oh.
He's gone primes to the end. And this is where GP and K-Slay are in prime position for a 1-2.
They are. I think they both will be wanting to pit in the next two laps time, which means that on their slightly worn option tyres, Rickster may get a little bit of an undercut, but obviously he's going to be on the prime tyre. Do you think that Rickster's option stint that he's just done was a, right, let's put the options on, let's see how many laps this brand new set can do, and then realising, okay, yeah, I'm going to have to use primes at the end?
I think he realised that the first pit stop he did, he did pit quite early on both stints, so I think he knew another prime stint was coming his way.
Okay, let's see, GP's not into the pits and K-Slay's not into the pits either. We'll try and find out what the gap is. 21.1 seconds, it's down to 20.7 seconds, so Rickster is faster at the moment than both Ferrari drivers. He could
find 6th and 5th, so DP, there's a battle. RDB and a hard Danny up the last straight.
Oh, RDB, massive sideways and into the wall as a hard daddy goes to the pit lane. I just managed to catch a little bit of that there. I took RDB's tyres there looking a little bit worn now on the front.
When he's on the straight, they look fine, but when they slow down, they look absolutely terrible.
Yeah, his right front tyre is his right front tyre even is looking a little bit nasty, to say the least. I mean, one of the things I do, or one of the things I found myself stopping myself from doing, is once you've worked out as K-Slade does continue on for another lap, GP, is he going to pit or is he going to continue on for another lap? He's continuing on for another lap. We'll see what the gap is between Rickster and the leaders. Yeah, one of the things I found myself, I had to sort of stop myself from doing was, once you've worked out what sort of stint length you can do on your tyre, don't look at your damage meter. Because as soon as you look at your damage meter and you see that a couple of them are very yellow or a bit orange, it can psychologically make you drive thinking your tyres can't cope. But if you ignore your damage meter, knowing that they can do 8 laps, 10 laps, and just drive it, psychologically you don't have that, oh, I've got to look after these. Might sound a bit stupid, but I did find it worked.
It's like the sun in England, when it comes out, 90% of the time it's cold. It can be very deceiving. You don't really want to. It's like you said, if you've got, you know you can do a certain amount of laps on the tyres, and you look at the damage meter and you think, oh, well, I don't know about that. It can ruin strategy.
Yeah, it definitely can. I'll tell you what, Rickster is still gaining 19.3 through Sector 1, 19.2 through Sector 2. K-Slade's not pitted. GP is in the pits. That is a move that could possibly get GP into the lead of this race. Rickster is going to take the lead, though. And I tell you what, he might actually have a very big gap. He will. He's going to... Yeah, he's going to have a big gap.
GP's going to have to look out for this pit soon.
Where's David Harp? David Harp's coming down to start-finish. He's on the prime tyres. You'd like to think he's going to the end on prime tyres. I didn't see when he last pitted. I think he's going to be holding 4th place. He is. GP's already got going. But I think with that Ferrari pitting that lap, I think K-Slade's going to be in this next lap. I'm wondering if that might be a bit of team orders there. K-Slade's going to be very quick on his final set of options and was battling with Rickster, come out behind him and have a chance to attack for the win. It might be a case of GP having a little bit of an undercut on K-Slade and hopefully not losing too much to Rickster, but I think Rickster's definitely going to be taking the lead of this race.
Yeah, 5th and 6th, down into turn 4. RDB is not confident on the brakes. He's kind of backed out like that. Oh, gone off. I don't know if that's a little bit of lag, but he should be able to get past Danny. He's on the option tyres, but I think he's been on them for quite a while. Unless he's just pitted, I'm not too sure.
I'm trying to think. RDB may have done. Danny has. Danny did recently pit, I think. But I mean, what RDB will find as well is, yes, he's on the faster tyre. He'll have more grip, but a driver can position his car through this middle sector where it doesn't matter what tyres you've got on your car, you just kind of can't get past.
There we are, another set of prime tools. Wow.
With this amount of laps left, yeah. That's exactly what I was just thinking, unless he's used a lot of them up. But here goes RDB into turn 1. We've seen him do it a few times in the race. He's trying it again, very tight line. And a bit of lag going on again, and a hard Annie managing to sneak back through. RDB though around the outside now, should have DRS. Oh, don't come across! Oh, Danny! Oh, that, yeah, we might have to change your name from a hard Danny to oh, Danny. That very nearly ended RDB's race right there.
This is bringing on the Millstar to it.
Oh, I'll tell you what, RDB's got all the way around the outside of a hard Danny there. Beautiful move. I'm not sure if that was a hard Danny sort of being a bit friendly and saying, yeah, I may have been a little bit naughty there. Could have been his engineer in his ear saying, oh yeah, you've don't get yourself a penalty on that one, given the position. He's on the faster tyre anyway. Is Millstar there for position? Yes, he is. And he is on the prime tyre. Now, Andy Russell, unfortunately, his race is over. K-Slade has pitted, and the gap between K-Slade and Rickster, he's saying, 5 seconds. Yeah, it may change when he gets through Sector 2, but I think he's already done a lap. and Rickster's just had to get through some traffic. Casely needs that gap to come down very, very quick. 5 laps, 5 seconds.
Second a lap.
Yeah.
Each second a lap, so it's going to come easy.
Do you think he can do it? The gap's grown.
It shouldn't be growing. It shouldn't be growing. Rickster has been on these prime time 6 laps. They'll start to wear out. This is Casely's second lap on these options. 4.7. He needs to come down quicker than that if he wants any chance of this win.
Yep. I mean, there is a chance there of taking the win, definitely. But he's got to put in 5 qualifying laps right now.
Yeah. I think GP's a bit too far behind to challenge for the lead. 9.6 seconds.
He is, but I tell you what, I think he'd be happy with a 3rd place finish. I mean, he didn't get back off holiday until Tuesday. Didn't do any practice Tuesday. Did about half an hour on Wednesday, and then I don't know how much today. So limited practice. He'll be happy if he gets on the podium. I mean, one thing we don't know either yet is penalties. I tell you what, Hindle, have a quick look on the race director. See if any of the leading drivers have got penalties. If they have, don't tell us who. I think Casely's either catching a back marker here or he's just caught up Rickster by a massive chunk. Nah, I tell you what, Rickster is opening up the gap in the middle sector, and Casely... No, sorry, he's opening up the gap in sector 1. Casely's closing it back up again in sector 2. So he's kind of gone 4.9, 4.7, 4.9. What's it going to be over the start-finish? 4.6, so... I wonder if Casely...
I'm really surprised at this, really surprised.
Here's a thought for you. We didn't really look at how many laps Casely did in qualifying. He may have used up like 2 or 3 sets in qualifying, which means he could be on a set of tyres now that have got a couple of laps on them already.
Or Rickster has very low aerial, and that's why he's actually gaining in sector 1 and sector 3, because there's only two, 3 corners in sector 1 and 1 corner in sector 3.
Yep, very good point. Well, at the moment, 3 laps to go. Rickster is in the prime seat. I think Casely, he's probably hoping just to see that gap come down all of a sudden by about 2 seconds, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen.
I think this is where Rickster's tyres are going to start to go, but he's not gaining. He's not gaining at all, not even in the middle sector. So that theory of low aerial may have just gone out the window.
Another thing that we've not really mentioned is fuel. I mean, I don't know if you've done a full race stint around here, and have any knowledge of what the fueling is like around here.
Well, I do know it's quite easy to save fuel on there, and I don't know if that's because it's quite high, the track, but you can save a lot of fuel around there. I mean, I did a 25% race practice in standard by lap 15, I had +3 of fuel, so it is a fuel saver, this track. I mean, I don't know if that's just my driving style, but I seem to save a lot of fuel on there.
I tell you what it is, you can save fuel very easily around here, but you can also burn it up very, very quickly. It's a bit of an odd one. We are at very high altitude here, and it does give a different air to fuel mixture, so the fuel will burn differently. But yeah, I mean, if you do 1 full lap on Rich, if you started on standard, if you started on 0, we've got a bit of a battle here, 7th and 8th. If you started on 0 and ran a full lap of Rich, you could end that lap on about minus 0.3. Now you can pull that fuel back in very, very quickly, but if you keep running Rich, you can very easily find yourself a lot in the minus. But also I did find as well, it was a little bit odd that fuel saving was quicker on the prime tyre than it was on the options.
Well, I've not tested that, but let me see, that seems...
Danny just had a bit of an off. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to get my head around it, and it could just simply be that you're not going as fast, or it could just simply be it's weird. I think I'll probably go with that one. Now, with the question of the day, obviously HiNDLE kind of spoiled that one straight away by getting it right, and I know we've only got sort of a lap to go, so I'm going to fire another question at you, HiNDLE, and to the viewers as well, and that is, the land that this racetrack is built on, what was it originally bought for, to be used for?
Not a clue.
Well, I'll tell you during the podium interviews. I'm sure if one of the drivers gets on there, he'll know the answer to it. But viewers, if you've got any ideas as to what the land was going to be used for that this racetrack is built on, feel free to post it in the YouTube comments. Now, apologies, I haven't been keeping up with the YouTube comments, and that's because I was keeping on it on my Wi-Fi. On my my phone's own internet, but I decided I'll turn it off, just make sure that every internet device is off. Go on, what have you got for us?
Charlie is in P4 and it's last lap. Dave the Arc, with the fresh tyres he got, could catch him.
Okay, you keep an eye on that one. Keep an eye on that, because Rickster, he's on the last lap. He's only got a few more corners to go, and if he is going to be keeping hold of this victory, he will be absolutely buzzing with it. K-Slay has managed to close the gap up eventually to 3.5 seconds, but it's too little too late unless Rickster's got a 3.5 second penalty. But for Rickster, he'll be absolutely buzzing with this one. Not far to go now to take victory at round 18 for the World Series at Brazil. Fantastic result for him. K-Slay, he'll be delighted with second place. Front Row Racing GP, it takes third. And then on to the battle that HiNDLE was mentioning. Is that gap still coming down there?
It is, but Charlie's tyres look absolutely shot. But I don't think it's enough. I don't think Dave the Arc's got it.
No, I think if there was another lap...
had a big problem here.
Well, Dave caught him up a lot in the corner. I think if there was another lap, Dave might be able to have him. Charlie runs a little bit wide, trying to get that power down. Dave's catching him quick, but not quick enough, I don't think.
P8, P7.
Okay, Charlie.
Puncture.
Oh, Millstar with another puncture. Oh dear, oh dear. Danny, he's 7th place. Yeah, Millstar, he has got another puncture. But let's see, Danny, we'll see him crossing the line. So it was Charlie 4th, Dave the Harp 5th. Didn't get to see really who was 6th there, but Danny 7th, Millstar 8th. Oh, I tell you what, I wonder if he's just tried going that little bit too long on each of his sets of tyres, or as the likes of Bartman found early on, you go a little too long and lock them up a bit too much. And they will struggle, and here come the leaders through him on their final formation laps, just to add insult to injury. But Millstar, he is going to take it across the line. He's 8th place, it's points for the team. But a fantastic race there, I reckon.
It was. I was surprised in the end that K-Slay couldn't catch up on. I'm pretty certain that both drivers will have to take the points. Definitely will. So Rickster does lift the trophy then for the Brazil Grand Prix in the Front Row Racing World Series. Now it's time for the champagne, and they might need it in these hot temperatures, and get themselves a bit of a drink and a bit of a face splashing before they have the pleasure of myself and HiNDLE grilling them. This will be a bit of an interesting situation for yourself, HiNDLE. Usually you're on the receiving end of the podium interviews. We're looking at it. K-Slay, he had a penalty himself, so even if he had have caught Rickster, he'd have had to have got ahead and pulled ahead by 3 seconds. Rickster GP, is that Charlie without a penalty? It is. Well done, Charlie. Millstar also without a penalty. A few DNFs there. Unfortunate for those drivers. I think the most spectacular one being Drew there. Now, for the viewers, if you do have any podium questions you would like to ask the drivers, or you'd like us to ask the drivers, feel free to comment them in the YouTube chat. I will put that back on now. Put at WS, and it gives us more chance of spotting the question. So yeah, feel free to ask your questions. I'm just going to quickly invite the drivers in for the podium interviews. I'll tell you, while I'm doing that, I've just seen Drew's message. He says, sorry Dave, I lost control somehow, got cursed. HiNDLE, it's all your fault.
Okay, so let's see. Rickster, K-Slay, and Front Row Racing GP. We'll give them a quick invite in for the podium interviews. But I'll tell you what, HiNDLE, while we're waiting for them to join us, what are your thoughts of the race down? Usually you'd race in it, you've got to sit there and watch it. So what are your feelings on how that race went?
Well, first of all, I'm quite surprised of how quickly it actually goes when you're not racing.
Yeah.
And second, I'm surprised that Casey coming fast. But Rick's has done still a job. He's done 2 prime stints, still come away with a win.
Now for the big question: do you reckon you'd have won it?
I don't know.
Okay. I think K-Slay's joined us. From a Racing GP has also joined us, and Rickster has now also joined us. Guys, if you could please make sure that you've got your microphone set to allow to be shared, and we'll get on with the podium interviews. So straight over to Rickster. A very exciting race there, very, very exciting race. An interesting strategy as well, but I'm guessing very, very pleased with taking the victory.
Definitely. It's been a long time coming, that. It's great, don't get me wrong. I would have liked to have done it with him on the track as well. But I think I win to win at the end of the day, and I'm just happy I finally got one.
Well, very well done. In the early stages, I can barely remember the early stages of the race, but I mean, there was a few different leaders. Yourself and Richie Davey were battling like mad. Out of nowhere pops a Ferrari on occasion. Did he kind of, in the early stages of the race, were you thinking, I've got a damn good chance of this one?
Definitely. I don't know what happened with Evan getting 109 and 199 on pole with freaking prime tyres, but I was like, well, I just got to get past him, and then I've got to get away as quick as I can. But I didn't open the gap as quick as I wanted to do. I didn't get it as far out as I wanted. And then coming to the end of my options, I saw literally pit behind me, so I had to pit to cover him off. And then that threw my whole strategy off completely.
Yeah.
So pretty much the rest of the race, I had to wing it. I literally had to wing it. I had to guess when to pit and when would be the right time to pit.
Well, you went, was it option prime? I think it was.
Yeah.
Was the second option run, was it a case of, right, bolt on a brand new set of options, see how far they'll go, and then realised, okay, not far enough?
Yeah, well, I did option primes, and then I was like, well, I'm definitely going to have to make at least 2 more stops. I didn't want to leave the options to the end because I didn't want to pit too early and maybe run out of tyre wear. So I was like, I'll do the options now. I'll see I'll go as far as I can go with those, and I only got 7 laps out of them, 7 or 8 laps out of them, and it got to 26, and I was like, well, I know I can do 10 laps on primes because I did 13 on my second run. So I went straight in and put them on.
Okay, 2 more questions from me. One, obviously we saw there was a bit of a lag with Adam 4600's qualifying lap time. We won't know exactly what happened there until we see his footage. But I'm just wondering, we've seen in previous races, there was a race where he qualified lower down the grid and by turn 1 was leading. He realised this isn't quite right and moved out the way. Did you see him perhaps trying to move out of the way, knowing that he wasn't quite in the right place?
To me, it looked like he was drag racing me to the corner. So, from my view, it didn't look like he moved out of the way.
Okay, well, he may have tried doing so afterwards, after the first couple of corners, because there was a collision there. Yeah. The other question for me is, were you surprised that K-Slay didn't catch you up at the end?
Oh yeah, I was gonna get that actually, because I knew he would be quick at the end, and I knew I'd have to do something special to keep him behind. But for like the first 5-6 laps, the gap stayed at 4.8 seconds around that, and I was expecting it to come down quicker. And then like the last 2 laps it did. Managed to obviously get along across the line first, but yeah, I am surprised it didn't come down quicker.
Well, a win is a win. Now for a bit of an unusual situation. HiNDLE, do you have any questions for Rickster?
I think you kind of answered it. What I was going to ask was, well, I've got another one actually. When you knew you had to do a second prime stint, did you think the win possibly out the window?
I didn't think it was out the window. I knew it was still possible. I just needed something special to do it. And obviously, I managed to do it somehow. But, yeah.
Well, very well done. And in-game penalty free, I believe. So very well done on so very well done on taking the victory there. We'll come back to you in a few moments' time. We'll move on to second place, K-Slay. K-Slay, I'm guessing very pleased with that race, that result there.
Yeah, didn't expect it. Didn't get much practice in, so yeah, happy with the podium there.
Was it always the plan to do, I think it was one less stop than your teammate?
Yeah, we discussed it prior to the race. I just thought 3 stops for me would be better this week, so I had to go on my prime stint, which hurt me a little bit, but I think it put me on scrub time, didn't know, which was confusing.
Yeah, I've seen a few people experience that. I've experienced it myself as well, and it's horrible. Excuse me when that happens. But we did see some fantastic driving from yourself, some fantastic overtaking at places. Same with Rickster. Excuse me, a bit of wind. Side by side with people. Some great racing. Is there any kind of frustration from that last into the race where, as Rickster said, the gap was just sort of staying stable?
Yes and no. I don't think I probably would have won anyway because I had a penalty. But it would have been nice to have been on fresh tyres to see what could have happened.
Well, me and Hindle, we were talking about the possibility of you being on scrub tyres at the end of the race. So I'm just curious, how many runs did you do in qualifying?
I did 2.
Oh.
But I only did... So that's why I was confused.
Yeah. Well, not a lot we can do about that one, but still a fantastic second place. So, Hindle, any questions for K-Slay?
He's answered it again. I was going to ask, like, how surprised was he that he couldn't catch up?
Well, with a strong primes at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Right. Yeah, because I said to Steve, I think he put a 26 or 25.
Yeah.
And he said to me, that's going to be tough on primes. I know he was quite slow at the end of his previous stint, so I thought I might have a chance, but I know it's quick, so I don't expect much anyway, so I'm happy with P2.
Well, a good result anyway, so well done, K-Slay. I'm sure we'll come back to you in a few moments' time. We'll move over to Formula Racing GP. You had Hindle wondering what you were doing, pitting as early as you did. I'm guessing, though, very well, are you pleased with that result?
Pleased with the result, not happy with qualifying. Basically, that's... But my strategy ended up worked out on basically what happened in qualifying. So I was just planning on running similar but different, but yeah.
Well, it worked well, and with a few collisions in the opening lap, I think he was up to 4th place by the end of sort of lap 1, lap 2. At that point, are you thinking a bit like at Russia, where it's like, hang on, this has just opened up quite nicely for me. I've got half a chance here.
Yeah, I did, and with me being on the primes, and I was around guys on the options, and I was just as quick, if not quicker than some that were around me, and I'm thinking, do I go with the strategy that we just discussed and put on lap 4, or do I carry on because I'm doing alright? But I didn't want to have that confusion of, if I get these tyres longer, I've then got to try and calculate and do all my other pit stops while I'm racing. I just thought, no, stick to my strategy.
Okay, and adding on to that, I mean, were you taking your option tyres long? I mean, because it looked like you were taking your option tyres longer than 8 laps, which we were saying was sort of the optimal amount of laps on those tyres.
No, It was down 8 laps. It was basically pit on lap 4, and then from that point you could do 3 runs of 8 on the option tyres. So it was 8, 8 and 8.
Fair enough. Well, a fantastic result for yourself as well. So over to HiNDLE for any questions from a Racing GP.
Did you think the win was possible when you was on the primes, P4?
No. I was so annoyed from qualifying. And I just thought, I'm in middle pack, I'm on primes, and even when I was in P4, I'm thinking, this is not where I wanted it to go. And it just, I don't know, I know that being on heavy fuel on the options at the start can be a bit awkward, but running on the primes at the start was horrible. So that did surprise me that I was there, but did I think I could win it at any point? Only because I had no penalties, and I was just hoping that others might have had enough that might do something. But that was the only reason why I may have thought I could have had a chance.
I don't know, hoping your teammates got penalties.
Well, I thought three stop on the options. Everybody else dealt with the primes. I thought you were in a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, it was always a possibility, I suppose. But the last stint, again, I think I was on scrubbed tyres, because after a few laps on them, I looked at them and they're starting to go orange. So I'm thinking, really? What? Why? In the other stints that hadn't happened. I'm not pushing any harder, and it did seem that way.
Well, I think what kind of clinched it for Rickster was his out laps on that final stint, and because before he pitted, it looked like it was going to be a three-way battle for the win. But with the undercut that he did get on that final stint, it did help him out massively. Okay, we're going to move on to some of the YouTube questions from Hammer Time. Steve, did your race go to plan? I think that one's been pretty much answered, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, to Rickster, what happened between you and Richie?
From what I saw, Richie was lagging a bit. On my screen, I was probably lagging a bit. And then we were going into the right hand. It looked like he just turned left on me and on a right hand corner, and we both spun. And I was a bit annoyed because I was like, why is he turning left on a right hand corner? But I don't know, it could have been completely different on the screen.
It probably was. I mean, on our screen, I know yourself and Charlie were lagging around quite a lot. Okay, next question to Steve. Were you surprised at Adam 4600's pole position time? When
it came, because I said to Kendall, I said, somebody might put a 109. It's possible to do a 109. Did I expect it to be Adam 4600? No. But Kendall was in the pits, and the first thing I heard him say was, Sector 3's in the 14s? What the hell?
Yeah. I think something was a little bit off there. Okay, next question. Next question. To the drivers and HiNDLE, actually, how do you think the reserve drivers did overall?
Let the drivers speak first.
Can I just say something on it?
Go on.
Unless they got terminal damage, it seemed like they were too eager to give up, in my opinion.
Oh, interesting. I know I know Drew. He did have terminal. He had a big crash. He did. Anybody else?
I would agree with GP. I mean, on some levels, but it's a weird one because I didn't really get to see much of them. But from what I did saw, I can see why GP said that.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look. You got the fastest for the race. I believe it was RDB.
Yeah,
it's RDB. Yeah.
So they've got the pace, and if you've got 3 or 4 drivers that just decide to give up, I'm not saying they all did because obviously there might have been a disconnection or it might be terminal damage. But in any particular race, if you've got 4 drivers that just give up because they're having a bad race, that's 4 drivers that could have been having a battle for 7th, 8th and 9th, and it would have given front row racing something else to look at, and you also get a better view and opinion of those drivers for future races, whereas we're just left with, did they retire?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, some of them I think did very... I mean, RDB looked like he was absolutely going for it this evening. Millstar was unfortunate, 2 punctures for him. and also I think he was involved in a collision that ended up with him not having a front wing. I mean, HiNDLE, you had a bit more of an opportunity to view them. What were your thoughts on them?
I agree. I mean, we've seen last week as well, the reserve driver. I don't know why they seem to give up, even when they're in the points. I mean, I think the excuse last week was, I just wasn't quick enough. Well, if you're in the points, carry on.
Yeah.
You're not here to show you're better than everybody else and you're going to win the race. Score some points, and people are going to think, right, he scores some points, he's going to be a good team member. If he gets a seat, maybe we'll have a look at teammates. But this race, there was a few oohs and ahs.
Yeah. Oohs and the ahas.
Well, I think they did alright. It was better than last week.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is, if you're on the track and you've still got all four wheels attached, your wings attached, you keep on going till the checkered flag. Because even if you finish in 11th place, you never know. You might actually end up in 10th or 9th or 8th. You just don't know. Yeah, so don't give up on that one. Okay, let's have a quick look here. I'm just trying to spot a couple of comments. Hammer Time out wanting to know what Steve's setup was. Don't tell him, Steve, because part of it was mine.
Just say something on that, though.
Go on, then.
Midland... I can't even remember our team name.
Mode Red.
Madness?
No, that's my team.
That's you.
Midlands Madness.
Midland Madness Ferrari would like to say thank you to Mode Red Mana Marusha from World Championship for the setup.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Let's see. A hard Danny saying quali was awful for him. Someone saying that Drew is a very good and fast driver. He was doing very well in the early stages of this race. The crash, I don't know, it was a bit, I'm going to say unfortunate. But also at the same time, I think when I'm watching it back, don't take offence, Drew, but I'm probably going to have a little bit of a giggle to myself. Because it's kind of one of those, you can kind of see it coming. Let's see. Looking good in the comms box there, HiNDLE. Your wee B, that's from your teammate. Obviously, he's impressed with your commentary this evening. Over Vikings calling you something else though. Let's see, any other questions here? No, looks like that is it. So what I'm going to do now, I did give a question of the day earlier today. I haven't actually looked back through to see if people have answered the question of the day. Apologies for that, folks, but I'm going to give it to the drivers now. So there's two of them. One, because HiNDLE got it straight away, and that is Pirelli. They make the tyres for F1 at the moment, right? And obviously there's other tyre manufacturers that want to get involved in it. But which company sells the most tyres worldwide out of all companies? Rickster, would you like to have a guess at that one?
I don't know.
I reckon it's really an American company because of how many cars that they sell.
Think outside the box.
It's interesting choice of words there. Caseley, any thoughts on that one?
Well, given what HiNDLE's just said, I'm assuming it's going to be something strange.
It's not going to be what we expect it to be.
Of course, I wouldn't ask it if it was.
Bridgestone.
You're wrong. You're out,
Bridgestone.
Steve. You're out, Steve. Go on, Caseley. Give us an answer.
Bridgestone?
No, you're out. Rickster, one last chance.
Bridgestone.
Wrong. You're out. HiNDLE, would you like to tell them what the answer is?
The answer is Lego.
What?
Lego.
Oh, Lego.
Lego.
Lego?
Lego.
Lego sell the most tyres worldwide.
What? As in the little Lego cars.
Yeah. You know, Lego, the little plastic blocks you stick together. Yeah, they sell more tyres than any other company. And the other one, because HiNDLE got that almost straight away by sheer luck. The other one was the land that the Brazil circuit is built on. What was that land originally bought for to be used for?
Ooh.
GP don't know this one, I think.
I thought he would.
Do you know what? I've been reading about Senna. There was something in there, and I can't remember it. My brain's gone dead.
Okay, Rickster or Casely, do you have any ideas what it was originally purchased for?
No.
I guess if Casely's response there, no idea. Okay, now this one is not that outside the box, but I just find it a fantastic piece of trivia. The land was originally bought to build houses on. Right, they were gonna build an extra, like a bit of a town there. But after investigating the land, and it had already been bought, they found out that it was a bog, it was a marshland. The ground was too soft to build houses on. And so the whole plan was effectively scrapped, and they were left with this piece of land, and the owner was like, well, what do I do with it now? And someone said to him, build a racetrack. So he did. And that's how the Brazil circuit came about. He decided to build a racetrack, and then all of a sudden, miraculously, there's a whole city pretty much built around the outskirts of the racetrack because, for whatever reasons, they've been able to sort the land out. But there you go, a little bit of trivia for you folks. The circuit would never have come about if the ground wasn't too soft to build houses on. Anyway, time to pretty much bring this to an end. So thank you very much to our podium sitters. Rickster taking the victory, Casely second place, and Front Row Racing GP taking third. Well done to all of the other drivers, and I want to also again say well done to, I'm not picking on you, but well done to Charlie. Got through that race with no in-game penalties, so very well done to you there. And also thank you very much to HiNDLE, the new Front Row Racing World Series Season 6 champion, for joining us in the commentary box. It's been interesting getting a few of your insights. I'm sure the viewers will have enjoyed hearing a few of your little tidbits of information.
Can I just say congratulations to HiNDLE. Well done on that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Well done, HiNDLE. Deserved.
You can hear the hatred in all of their voices. well
You
done.
know what, right? I'm going to answer that, and people aren't going to believe me in this. From where I've come, when I got my first reserves drive and I got disqualified, I honestly didn't expect to be winning this season next.
Well,
I could see potential in you, to be honest with you, straight away. When you noticed that you needed to deal with your ETLs and you were able to cope with that and change the way you were driving and still be fast, as soon as you joined the league full time, I thought, here we go, he's going to win it.
Yeah.
Straight away, because you had that potential straight away.
Yeah. Don't let his head get too big though. He's going to change his Facebook name to Champ.
You do know that the door to the Champions Lounge is twice as wide as normal for the head.
Well, it is, yeah. It is, yeah. Reminds me, I need to send you the key code for that now as well. Okay, we will bring this to an end momentarily. Just want to quickly say, next up on the Front Row Racing YouTube channel will be tomorrow evening, 7:30 p.m. for the FRI Days Cup, the final round of that for this season at Abu Dhabi, and then later on in the evening, about 9 o'clock, will be the PCF, the Project Cars Fridays, I think round 5 race. Next up for the Front Row Racing World Series will be the final round at Abu Dhabi next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. So feel free to join us for that one. But from all of us here in the commentary box and on the podium, this has been Front Row Racing. This has been the World Series. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.
Bye.